Hey guys, what's up? It's your girl Shamar. Come on in the cabin. Let's chit chat, guys. Let's get down to business. All right, guys. We've been on the trail of a lot of craziness this week, right, guys? But I don't want to lose focus. Even though we had these great big reveals this week, I still want to stay on target. We got to talk about Assyria, guys. We got to talk about what happened to us. All right. In the background, you guys are going to see my latest screensaver. It's a Confederate flag. Very interesting stuff going on over at Hebron, right, guys? We just discovered Hebron, Utah. You know, that word Hebron means Confederate, right, guys? And towards the end of this, we're going to unpack a few more things that we learned about that Confederacy. So stay tuned. I'm not going to give it to you all at the beginning, guys. I want y'all to work for this just a little bit. Let's see who stays to the end. All right. But listen, guys, let's get into Assyria, because for us to get to the subject of how the 10 tribes became lost and about this confederacy, all right, against Israel, the nation of Israel, you know, we got to unpack this. All right, guys. Because I told you guys that from my research, it looks like Judah activated Assyria against Israel. But later on, they reap what they sow, because, you know what I mean? You can't, there's no loyalty among thieves, right? So they later on get attacked by Assyria too. Really interesting stuff. But they definitely activated Assyria against their brother. All right, guys? I've heard of some crummy stuff in my life, but nothing beats this. That you would send in an army like this against your own brother. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about what Assyria was known for. Let's talk about how they wound up at Israel's door. Come on, y'all. It's a little journey. Don't worry. We're not going to cover everything in this. Sometimes I have a folder that, you know what I mean, pertains to the subject. So I'll just keep sticking it in there and pick up where I left off at, guys. But, you know, our folders, it's getting crazy. I just organized this last week. And look, we right back to stuff that's not in folders, guys, because some of this stuff is real interesting. All right, I got to get to the bottom of it. And I'm going to unpack towards the end and tell y'all about, I'm going to take you guys to the community page, show y'all some stuff that's going on. But first, let's get to Assyria. All right, guys, this article right here is going to, in fact, tell you a little bit about the relationship. This house of Omri, I'm really interested in looking into that. It has something to do with the Sumerians. Not Sumer, guys. S-A, Samaria, not Sumeria. All right, guys, I want to make sure I'm making that clear to y'all. Let's talk. I'm going to read this article because I want y'all to pay close attention to this section saying a bridge between the Mediterranean and the desert, because this is going to show you how the locality of Israel is really important. Israel is at the gateway of all of these resources. All right. What am I talking about? You know, they tried to make us think that it was just about food and goddamn cotton. Okay. It's bigger resources than that. All right. There are the mineral resources here in America, right? A lot of people don't know that the Yogo Gulch sapphires are the only untreated sapphires in the world. And they are right here in Colorado. What does Colorado mean, guys? Ruddy. We got traces of the Davidic monarchy all over this country, guys. So we know they were here. All right, guys, we're not going to fool ourselves no more with that. But Israel has a wealth of resources. Quick example, Timnah. Timnah is given to Joshua. It's another example where we see this transfer of deed that the Creator told us ain't supposed to happen. Judah, King Solomon specifically, winds up with the Timnah property. Timnah has silver mines that are probably the biggest in the world. Okay, I got to research that to make sure. I haven't researched Timnah in a while. But Timnah transfers All right, we watch it transform from Joshua, the tribe of Ephraim, to Judah. All right, guys, Torah told us that ain't supposed to happen. It's just a prime example of what I'm talking about, where people are not happy that Ephraim has these resources. Ephraim is a well, right, guys? We're going to get to that, too. They are not happy. Ephraim got all of the treasures, guys. All right? Looking like that honey, something different. We're going to get to that, though. I'm going to unpack towards the end. But let's talk about where Israel's located, all right? So we're going to start right here, a bridge between the Mediterranean and the desert. Israel controlled the Mediterranean ports to the south of the Lebanon range and the rich agricultural lands between the coast and the River Jordan, a strategic and economically profitable position, which provides a link between the route networks across the sea and the desert. All right? The desert. Remember, this is like the equivalent of the Panama Canal. All right. A lot of people say Panama got rich because of the canal. There was one way in and they were at those ports. All right. Israel, very similar. All right. It says right here, they are the link between the sea and the desert. All right. Israel's relations with Assyria oscillated between neutral, cordial, and hostile. All right, guys. So it's saying that between them all, there was, sometimes it was friendly, sometimes it wasn't. All right. Israel was directly affected when Assyria's western frontier was moved from the Euphrates to the Mediterranean coast. So Assyria is moving around its borders, right, guys? Sound a lot like what we see on TV right now, where they're saying Russia annexed this place. So it's very similar to what's going on in the current world, right, guys? Or what they're telling us, right? And we're seeing this in the ancient world. All right, so let's keep going. Assyria's western frontier was moved from the Euphrates to the Mediterranean coast and the Lebanon mountain range. So they're trying to take over Lebanon mountain ranges. This belongs to Israel. The year 732 BC saw the first Assyrian invasion of Israel. This event is well documented in the Bible, albeit not from the viewpoint of Israel, but of its southern neighbor, the kingdom of Judah. I told y'all, Judah got the pen, y'all. Y'all think I'm joking. So Judah is going to tell you the story of how Israel was invaded, right, guys? Because Israel is no longer a nation. So who else is going to write about the history besides Judah? Told y'all, Judah has had this pen. Y'all ain't been paying attention. Let's go. But I'm going to make sure we're paying attention from here on out. The event is well documented. So we're going to keep going down. It is possible to juxtapose. Sorry, I'm about to scramble that word up. This narrative with the passages in the royal inscription of Tiglath-Pileser III, which, although fragmentary, provide a valuable insight into the Assyrian view of the matter. Let's keep going. So the Assyrians going to tell you why they invaded. Okay, the Torah tells you its versions. The Assyrians going to tell you too. Let's keep going. The invasion of 732 BC, according to the Bible. The biblical account. Now, remember who wrote this biblical account? Judah. Let's keep going. The biblical account of the invasion of 732 BC differs from the Assyrian source above all in the motivation identified as driving the Assyrian attack and conquest. According to the Bible, the invaders were brought to Israel by Ahaz, king of Judah, who asked Tiglath-Pileser for a military intervention against Israel and Damascus. All right, so it's telling you Judah asked for it. Ahaz sent messengers to say to Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, I am your servant and vassal. So Judah is messaging Assyria and saying, I am your servant right here. All right, guys, and I am your vassal. A holder of the land by feudal tenure. Okay, so it's a holder of the land, placed strategically. Come up and save me out of the hand of King Aram and the king of Israel, who are attacking me. And Ahaz took silver and gold and sent it as a gift to the king of Assyria. The king of Assyria complied. All right, so Judah ask, right here, right? Ahaz is the king of Judah, right? He says, come up and save me, right? He's a servant. So come up and save me out of the hand of Israel, all right? Judah is going to activate an enemy to save him out of the hand of his brothers, he's saying, right? From a Judean perspective, therefore, the Assyrian invasion of Israel was the direct consequence of Judah's vassal treaty with Assyria. I'm going to say it again. A Judean perspective. Judah feels it's activated Assyria against its brother. Look at this. Therefore, the Assyrian invasion of Israel was the direct consequence of Judah's vassal treaty with Assyria. So Judah has a treaty with Assyria. Right, guys? This is what we're finding out. In exchange for the loyalty and his tribute, King Ahaz was able to summon his overlord. All right? This is Judah's overlord, Assyria, who was bound by the treaty to protect his vassal against the enemy aggressions. All right, guys. So we read right here that Judah activated an enemy against Israel. All right, guys, this is the first you're going to probably hear this. I mean, I heard there's a few people that are keeping it real out there. We just got to do our research, guys. We can't be, we got to dig. All right, so let's keep going because I want to talk about what Assyria was like. The Assyrian enslavement of the Hebrews. The Israelites struggle in a foreign land. All right, guys? The Israelites struggle in a foreign land. Pay attention to that. How the mighty Assyrian Empire ensnared the northern kingdom of Israel. The forced march of the Hebrews. In the annals of ancient Middle Eastern history, few empires were as formidable and feared as the Assyrians. Their military prowess, coupled with their brutal tactics, allowed them to subjugate numerous people and territories. Among the many nations that felt the weight of the Assyrian yoke were the Israelites, guys, or Hebrews. Specifically, all right, guys, specifically, those of the northern kingdom of Israel. All right, guys. Later on, though, Judah does get some of this force, but a lot of this went to Israel. It's like a century later, too. It has nothing to do with this. This is just because they got in bed with their enemy, they're going to reap what they sowed. All right, guys? All right, so let's talk about the rise of the Assyrian Empire. Originating from the city of Assur in present-day northern Iraq, the Assyrians expand their empire aggressively during the first millennium BC. By the 8th century BC, Tiglath-Pileser and Shalmaneser, the empire has reached the zenith of its territorial ambitions, stretching from modern-day Iran to Egypt. The fall of the northern kingdom. The northern kingdom of Israel, with its capital in Samaria, first became a vassal state of the Assyrian empire during the reign of Tiglath-Pileser III. Israel's kingdom, because Israel was afraid. Israel was afraid of Assyria. Rather than trusting into its own God to protect them, they started sending tributes to Assyria to kind of placate Assyria. You know what I mean? Like to just, hey, can you just stay over there and leave us be? They should have never done that, but they did. Israel's king, Menahem, right here, paid heavy tribute to avoid a full-scale invasion. However, subsequent kings of Israel, such as Pekah, sought to rebel and form coalitions with other states to resist the Assyrian dominance. Right. At this point, they say, hey, we should not be doing this. They reach out to other states, including Judah, to join forces to overthrow this kingdom. All right. These rebellions did not bode well for Israel. All right. A large siege of Samaria lasts 3 years, okay? His successor, Sargon II, eventually captures the city, marking the end of the northern kingdom of Israel, guys. This happens in 722 BC. We know that Judah is taken in like the years 500 and something, so we know this is almost 2 centuries later. Pay attention to this, y'all. All right. This is really interesting considering what we're talking about, right? Since we're talking about a civil war, right? We know there was a civil war in, quote, America between the North and the South, which displaced people, right? But they claimed those people came from Africa. Similar tactics were being done in the ancient kingdoms, guys. What do you know? This shit ain't new. This is why I tell y'all, pay close attention to this. Deportation in the Assyrian policy. The Assyrians had a well-established policy when dealing with conquered people. Mass deportation, all right? After capturing Samaria, Sargon II deported a significant portion of the Israelite population. Estimates suggest around 27,000 people, though the exact number may be higher, and then resettled them in various regions of their empire, okay? This was done to quell any future rebellions, right? If you left all these people together, they could eventually rise up and take you over. So you dispersed them, all right? This was done to quell any future rebellions and to integrate the conquered populace into Assyrian society. These deportations effectively dispersed the 10 northern tribes of Israel, leading to their historical moniker as the Lost Tribes of Israel. Because they are dispersed, guys. They don't have a kingdom. Let's keep going. The legacy and implications. The Assyrian conquest had a profound implication for the Hebrew people. Cultural, religious evolutions. The Israelites in exile encountered various cultures, leading to an exchange of ideas and beliefs. All right, y'all. That's why I told y'all this husband stuff is an exchange in cultural beliefs, guys. All right. The emergence of the southern kingdom with the northern kingdom obliterated. All right. The southern kingdom of Judah, with its capital at Jerusalem, becomes the primary state. This is how we shift from Israel to Judah. All right, and this is how they orchestrated it. Let's keep reading. This geopolitical shift intensifies the centralization of religious practices around the temple in Jerusalem. So now everybody is worshiping like they do in Judah. Let's keep going. Historical and biblical significance. The Assyrian exile is referenced in various biblical texts, including the Book of Kings and Chronicles. The prophets of the time, like Hosea and Josiah, also provide insight, often interpreting the exile as divine punishment for Israel's sin. Let us never forget, while I might be talking about what happened to Israel, I'm just setting light on it historically, guys. We fucked up majorly. We went after other gods. We started sending tributes to kings. I showed y'all that earlier. Israel fucked up majorly and brought this on itself. But Judah was an instrument in it, which is a major problem. So let's keep going. The Assyrian deportation of the Israelites from the northern kingdom of Israel in the 8th century is not the first known instance of Hebrews being displaced or facing subjugation. However, it is among the most significant due to its scale and long-term implications. They're never heard of again. Rachel is weeping. All right. Earlier interactions between the Hebrews, and empires result in some level of subjugation, tributary status, or displacement. So notably, we had the Hebrew. I am tongue slipping all day. Noticeably, we had the Egypt in slavery. We had Canaanite and Philistine powers locally subjugated different Israelites tribes. So yeah. Let's go to this last paragraph right here because I like this. The Assyrian deportation is unique because of its scale and its lasting effect on the culture and geopolitical landscape of the region. It results in the widespread displacement of 10 of Israel's 12 tribes, leading to their historical designation as the lost tribes of Israel, guys. The Assyrian enslavement and deportation of the Israelites from the northern kingdom is a testament to the tumultuous, interconnected histories of ancient Middle Eastern civilizations. While the northern kingdom of Israel ceased to exist, they were no more. Politically, its cultural and religious legacy persists, contributing significantly to the tapestry of ancient Semitic tradition and beliefs. All right, guys. Y'all can watch the Levantine Wars down here. Somebody, I think that's Sai, kind of like his channel, Sai's History. He's got a episode of this on YouTube right now covering it. But of course, we know the more intricacies behind the scene of what that war about. Judah activated its enemy. That's what happened. Let's talk about the horrors of being invaded by the Assyrian army. Nearly 3,000 years ago, a nation few remember today swept through the Middle East. They laid cities to waste, tortured their survivors, and spread terror everywhere they went. This was Assyria, the first nation to make its military might its central policy, and the first nation to torment its enemy with psychological warfare. Life behind a city's walls when the Assyrian army drew close was terrifying. Assyria made sure of it. They pioneered the use of terror as a weapon, and they made the lives of their enemies a living horror story. An enemy that lived at war. Every Assyrian man, from the poorest to the richest, were required to serve in the army. This is how Assyria got such a large army, guys. They enrolled everybody, kind of like what we have to do here, right? At the age of 18, you have the good grief, guys. Somebody put it down in the comments. Y'all know what I'm talking about. The as an 18-year-old, if you're a male, you have to do this still, guys. So this is coming from the Assyrian army. It's a page out of their tactics, right, guys? Let's keep going. Psychological terror. Let's talk about this. The Assyrians created tablets that show them torturing their enemies to let the next city know what was coming. These showed them skinning their victims alive, blinding them, and impaling them on stakes. One Assyrian king named Ashurnazarpal has left a whole series of these tablets behind, and the descriptions are positively terrifying. This is what he said, guys. I flayed many right through my land and draped their skin over the walls. He boasts. I burnt their adolescent boys and girls. A pillar of heads I erected in front of the city. So, Judah decided to enlist an army that flays the victims and drapes their skin over the walls, that potentially did this to Israelite people, all right? That potentially burned Israelite boys and girls, that potentially erected a pillar of heads in front of the city. By the time their army reached their walls, these stories would have spread. Every person watching their chariots approach would know that, compared to the fate the Assyrian army brought, death would be a relief, a chance to surrender. Before the battle began, people would often be given a chance to surrender, okay? They would say things like, make peace with me. Then each of you will eat the fruit of your own vine. Those who did not, he warned, will have to eat their own excrement and drink their urine. Many countries surrendered. Others went further. The king of Urartu upon hearing the army was approaching, stabbed himself in the chest rather than face them. So he left his city on their own. He stabbed himself. Some sent tributes to Assyria before they ever looked their way, surrendering before they even approached to keep them away. And I think this is a lot what Northern Tribe was trying to do, was to try to keep them away instead of putting their faith in the Creator. All right, guys, this is a battering ram. You know, we use one of these to the day. Do y'all know Assyria was the creator of the battering ram? Yeah. The Assyrians, though, we're going to be right here. had some of the first siege weapons in the world. They invent the battering ram, a device that would have seemed completely unstoppable in the time. All right. Says here it was a whole engine on wheels. It had an iron capped ram that swung from chains, letting it crush its way through enemy walls like never before. All right. Sometimes the Assyrian army didn't stop at killing their enemies. When the Assyrian king Sennacherib invades Babylon, he wiped them off of the map. All that's left behind was a message, boasting of how far he'd gone to decimate them. The cities and its houses, from its foundation to its top, I destroyed. I devastated. I burnt with fire. Okay. So they're boasting about all of the terror that they're running around and engaging in, okay? The torture of the survivors. One Assyrian king recorded sparing some of the people he invaded, but only after they shamelessly humbled themselves before him. The elders of the city came out to save their lives. They seized my feet and said, "If it pleases you, kill. If it pleases you, spare. If it pleases you, do what you will." They used, it says here, more often than not, though the surviving men would be put through the hells they used to psychologically terrify the world. That means being skinned alive, having ears, noses chopped off, and whatever torment they could imagine. They would get creative. One of the king would put necklaces with the king's heads on them. All right. Let's talk about the lives of slavery. Assyrian art shows a parade of their slaves, chained to large stones, being forced to drag massive rocks like mules. The rocks were to be used to build palaces and wonders for the kings. All right. The women had it even worse. After the hell that the women of all eras had suffered after wars, they and their children would be led off into slavery. Sometimes they would strip naked to humiliate them and leave them feeling weak and vulnerable. In at least one case, an Assyrian king made the women lift their skirts over their heads and march blindly after their captors. The resettlement policy. All of Assyria was subject to their resettlement policy, which uprooted whole families and moved them across the country. It was one of the ideas that made Assyria so strong. Experts from conquered countries would be sent into the heart of the nation, where they would be put to work. All right. They got a brutal code of law here. And how they, in fact, utilize post-traumatic stress as a weapon of psychological warfare. All right, guys. Let's show y'all. I want to show y'all these two books. And then I'm going to leave y'all on a few little things to ponder as it pertains to the Assyrian invasion, guys. Got two books here. If anybody's got some money and they want to get into these two books, I encourage it. Let me know what you find. The Conspiracy of Judah with Assyria. This is by Joseph Chandler. All right, guys. And we got another one here, an actual sermon. So Shamar ain't making this up, guys. This is known knowledge. All right, guys. I say politics makes strange bedfellows. So Judah got in bed with Assyria, guys. Here's a nice little sermon, little ancient book, guys. Library of Congress. They don't just put any old books in there for no reason. All right, guys. And look, check this out. Assyria, Michigan, guys. Assyria, Michigan is actually going to be in the path of the solar eclipse. All right, guys, potentially. Let me make sure that I have that right. Yeah, I believe it's supposed to be in the path. But even if it's not, we did find in Assyria, Michigan. So we know these localities are actually here in America, guys. That's what we're finding out, guys. I'm going to close on this. I just wanted to touch you guys up to base about what happened here and how we got wiped out. I'm going to close on some of the things we're finding in the community page to bring us up to that well, guys. Shout out to my lady or gentleman who's looking out for that, right? Guys, I went and showed you guys here how this confederacy goes way back, right, guys? And I told y'all it was always about the resources, and don't let them tell you it was about no fucking cotton and sugar. Nah, no. Abraham dug wells, guys. And we're locating 7 sister oil companies, right? What's significant about that? Well, there's the Well of Beersheba. The Well of Beersheba translates into the Well of 7, the Well of the Oath, and the Well of Lions, which they say translates to Arab. Right here is a passage concerning those wells and how Abraham leaves 7 sheep. Interesting. And right here, Isaac redigs those 7 wells. Interesting stuff, right, guys? Why is that important, right? Because we know that Joseph is a fruitful bough, even a fruitful bough by a well. The archers sorely grieve him. They don't like that Joseph has all the resources. What are these wells, guys? I'm starting to think these wells are oil wells, guys. I'm following the money, all right? This is what this war was about, guys. It was about these wells. Look at this. The Hebrew word for petroleum, guys, I looked up the Hebrew word for petroleum, translates to shemen, right? Literally means fat. Remember the fat of the earth. Israel would inherit the fat of the earth. Greece, but figuratively it means richness. As important idea to keep in mind, the word also translated as fruitful. Petroleum, guys, translated as fruitful. Hence, oil symbolizes wealth, abundance, health, and energy. It ain't about no cotton. Check this out, guys. Who has the largest untapped oil reserves in the world? The U.S. Interesting. Even though it is nowhere near the top, a report indicates that the U.S. has the largest untapped oil reserves in the world. They're right here, guys. Check this out. Let's keep going. Deuteronomy said something about Asher, right? Of Asher it said, "Blessed be Asher with children. Let him be acceptable unto his brethren, and let him dip his foot in oil." Check this out. There are so many companies named Asher Energy. It's unreal, guys. We were just talking to Cal. We were just talking Simeon and Levi in Instruments of Cruelty, guys. So I'm going to be digging more into this well, guys. I got to. I'm going to be digging more into right here, Joseph being fruitful and these 7 sisters, guys, for these 7 oil wells, guys. These wells of Beersheba. We know the Saudi family is extremely rich, and we know they're linked to Abraham. So would it be too far-fetched to believe Abraham had access to wells that made oil? Or more importantly, honey? Stay tuned. We're just getting started. Thank you guys for viewing. Take care.